podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story TV and the Her Story podcast. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Hi, thanks for having me, Gertrude. My name is Henning McMahon. I'm 38 years old, based in Melbourne, Australia, and this is my story. So I was born and raised over in Germany. I grew up over there, the traditional German upbringing on the countryside. At 17 years of age, I actually dropped out of school because it just wasn't for me. And I went to Greece for 6 months for some work experience. That was the point in my life where I decided, okay, Germany isn't everything to the world. There's so much more, and I'm not going to live in Germany for the rest of my life. So when I returned to Germany, I had to do something. So I started an apprenticeship in hotel management. I worked 3 years, 2 weeks at work, 1 week at school. So really in-depth apprenticeship. After that, I was really equipped with a really broad skill set, to take on anything I wanted. I then moved on and worked in a few hotels, nothing really overly exciting, but what it did do, it kind of taught me how to work and how to be really effective and efficient, because we were taught you've got 8 hours in the day. This is your workload. If you can't complete that in that time, you got to work faster, right? So there were no excuses. There were no overtime. So that was one of the really significant things from my apprenticeship that I've learned, and that really, formed me into who I am now, and one of those work traits that I have. But a bit more about my personal side. I grew up without a father. My parents got divorced when I was about 3 years old. I grew up with my 2 sisters and my mum, so an all-women's household. Oh yes, that was fun times when there were 3 teenagers in the house. And we moved to Frankfurt when I was 14. So I come from the countryside, moving into a big city, and literally moving into the city, which was really brilliant for me. As a teenager, it was fantastic. I had everything at my doorstep and had a lot of fun with it. But yeah, as I say, the move to Greece was the big eye-opener. That was sort of the first step in my growing up, I think. I was there without my mum, without my sisters, without family, and I lived in a strange family in a country where I didn't really know the language. Yes, I did go to language school and I learned a little bit, but it's really hard to speak a language, and especially if they have a different, handwriting as well. But it was absolutely amazing. That was also my first step into independence, and that's something I'm really, really proud of. I am very independent. I make my own choices. I make my own decisions, but I also deal with the consequences by myself. So basically the motto there is my actions, my consequences. I get to choose what I do, but that means no matter what the outcome, I also have to deal with that. Anyways, after my time in Greece and my apprenticeship, I then decided, okay, it's time to travel the world, explore more, find a place where I actually want to live and spend the rest of my life. My first stop was Australia because it had to be English speaking. That was the only language other than German that I actually spoke. So I came to Australia in 2006 as a backpacker, the good, traditional, good old backpack. working on farms, doing all the jobs that a lot of people might not like to do. And I had an absolute great time. I got to experience the culture, the lifestyle, everything here in this amazing country. I also happened to meet a man at the time who I ended up marrying, and he is the father of my 2 children. We traveled the country together, so we literally did the full tour. We went through the middle up to the north, down the entire west coast, 3 months on a road trip, living in a 2-person tent. It was the trip of my life. It was absolutely amazing. And, you know, at 21, you're young, you just go and do and whatever, and you just see what happens on the next day. So I think that was really the next big and significant point in my life where I defeated the odds. I was told before I left, oh, Henny, you can't do that. You won't succeed. You'll be back in 6 weeks, you know. And I stayed a year. I managed. I had a ball. I had an absolute blast. And I went back to Germany after the year. And all those people who were doubting me, they looked at me and said, oh, okay, that's interesting. You can actually do this. So that was quite a significant experience. We spent a year in Germany, my now ex-husband and I, and we got married over there, which was really great for him to understand my culture, my background, before we then finally migrated to Australia at the age of 23 for me. So I left my family behind to move across the world, to move to Australia and build a life here. And people might think it was easy because I had a husband who was Australian, but no, it actually was the most lonely journey of my life. It has been 15 years now that I've been here, and the first probably 5 to 10 years were really, really lonely. Yes, I had children, I had a husband, but, you know, to make friends, where do you go as an adult to make friends? You don't. Well, you do it at work, so it becomes a lot harder. And what I've learned from that really is to stand up for myself. So I've become really, really, really strong through this I had to. I didn't have my parents there or a safety net to catch me when I fell. When I fell. I had to get myself up, brush myself off and move on from there by myself. And I've achieved that. So now, fast forward, to today, 15 years later, I've just launched my own business. I've completed a master's degree. I've raised my children partially as a single mum through COVID lockdowns. And here I am standing with a big smile on my face, stumbling over words. But no, basically what I want to share is really that encouragement to do what you know you can do and try it. And when you fall, that's fine. To fail is fine. You just got to get up, dust yourself off and move forward. My mum used to say to me when I was quite young, Henny, when you fall, put your head up, back straight, shoulders back, smile and move forward. You can do this. And that is something that really stuck with me. And I just want to share that and encourage everyone to take that on board. We all fail, we all fall, but we just need to get up and move on from that. We just have to try again until we succeed, or change what we're doing to succeed, or, you know, change direction altogether. I no longer work in hospitality at all. I've worked in aged care for over 10 years, which is completely different and was out of my depth until I started doing it. Now I can talk about it. I have that knowledge and so on, and it comes through just doing it and learning. And the next part I really want to share is about learning. So the learning journey never stops, and I think that's really key for personal and for business development, and a huge part of my journey. So as I said, I grew up with 2 sisters. One of them is highly intelligent, and her and I, we never got along very well as children. She would always tell me, Henny, you're dumb, and I in turn would tell her she's ugly. So we were really, really sweet children. But that her saying to me that I'm dumb really, really stuck with me my entire life. I always doubted my intelligence, and I doubted whether I could achieve anything big. But here I am. I finished my master's degree last year on an average score for distinction. So not only did I complete a master's degree in my second language, but I completed it really, really well. And that was the proof to myself, not my sister, to myself, that I am actually smart. I am intelligent, and no, I'm not dumb. And she's not ugly. She's actually a really beautiful person and lady, just to put that out there. But it really, you just got to decide what you want to do and go with it, roll with it, but stick with it and commit to it. And then success will come. As I say, I've now just launched my own business. And that came from many, many places, but really because I've identified there is a need in every organization. They all have the same problem. So I've come up with a solution to deal with that problem, to eliminate that problem or fix the problem, and help businesses become better at what they do. And that is done, or I've come here through my experience, through my learning, and through my viewpoints. And that really, I think, sums up my story quite well, with a bit of personal, with a bit of business background there.
So thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. It's amazing what happens when you have faith in yourself and you step out on that faith to find yourself. Now, a lot of women will struggle with putting themselves in that space. If you could go back and have a conversation with a younger you, that young woman who was really trying to figure things out and finally hit the mark, and give her 3 nuggets of wisdom, 3 pieces of advice, what would you say to her based on what life has taught you so far?
I would tell her, stick to your guts, make a decision and stick with it, commit to it. That I think is really key to success, no matter in which area, is that commitment to it. If you say, I want to do this, but then you only put in half effort, you're not going to succeed. You really have to commit to it and work towards that. That's one. I would also encourage anyone to speak with people with a lot greater experience than your own. So when I migrated across the world, which is obviously a fairly long way, I thought, yeah, this is great. This is the country I like. This is what I chose. But I'd never thought through all the consequences of it. The loneliness that comes with it, that when you have children, being on your own, looking after that all by yourself, that kind of thing. So I think what would have paid off for me in that would have been to actually seek someone who's done it, someone who is a lot more experienced, and not necessarily my mum, because my mum did not want me to leave. So really speaking with someone, seeking advice and guidance from someone who's a lot more experienced and has potentially gone through similar situations. And lastly, have fun while doing it. Just enjoy the ride. Really, no matter how dark a situation might seem, it generally doesn't last forever. Even the tough times where you really doubt everything, they will finish. They will come to an end at some point. So enjoy the ride, enjoy the journey, take your learnings from it, and see what you can do better next time.
I love that. Let's touch a little bit about the challenges that you have had in life. You mentioned that you moved from another country, you got married, you went through a divorce and went back to college. Divorce is a very difficult thing. And a lot of women sometimes struggle in just, how do I survive after marriage? Again, what were the things, the insights that you learned about being married? What made you decide to go through a divorce? In case there is another woman who's kind of thinking, should I do it? Shouldn't I? Give us some of your insights there.
Yeah, definitely. There were a lot of challenges. Look, getting married is a big step. It's a fun step to take. It's brilliant. And realistically, what led to the divorce in the end was that my ex-husband and I, and he's a great guy. He's a fantastic man. We still get along. We're amicable. But we drifted apart. So we started off here together, and through the 10 years of marriage, we drifted apart. He stayed here and I kept moving over and over further. So we had this big gap between us. And we ultimately decided that, you know what, it's not worth us to stay together for the sake of staying together, or for the sake of the kids, because neither of us were happy. We both needed to get out of it to really, work on what we needed to achieve in life. And yes, I was the driving force in that. So I was the one who opened the conversation and said, hey, this isn't working. We did go through marriage counseling and all of that. So we really tried. But the bottom line was for us to really get out of life what we want out of life. We needed to call it quits and jump in. And yes, I left a life of financial security, a comfortable life, a really, really comfortable life, to jump into being a single mom on a part-time income, having to go to the government and ask for support payments. So that was a really hard task to do. But I said to myself, I can't spend my life thinking, oh, I'll do this for my children. They'll resent me for that. I would resent my mum for that if she would have stayed with my dad for my sake. I would have been really mad at her for not looking after herself, because us mums, we're still people. And when our children are older and they move out, we will still be people. And if we gave up all of our life to be mum, what do we have left? And that was the thought that really stuck with me. And that's why, I think that's where the courage came from, to really stand up for myself and go with, you know what? This marriage was great. It was perfect for the time that we had, but it is coming to an end, so that we both have a shot at happiness. And in terms of other challenges, look, there were many along the way. As I said before, my parents are divorced as well. My father and I, we no longer are on speaking terms. So I went through a really difficult phase in my life where I got diagnosed with situational depression. I went into some very intense psychological care for about 6 months. It's all good now. Worked through all of that. But in that, my father played quite a significant role in terms of, saying really unpleasant things to me. And we are no longer on speaking terms. So there were quite a few challenges. And the way to overcome it for me was just to work through them one by one, and, have something to look forward to. Set yourself a goal, a holiday or a weekend away or whatever it might be. So, yeah, that's some of the challenges I had.
Wow. Now you have transitioned careers and now you're running your own business. Tell us about your business. What is it that you do? It's really inspiring to see that you were able to transfer your skills from your previous life and create something new for yourself.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited. So the company's called Henning Consulting, and I consult in the business space, of course, but I focus on office operation performance and productivity. So everything administrative, because the gap I identified throughout my working career is that all businesses struggle with their admin. It is really, people go like, oh, it's admin, whatever. But what they don't understand, everything your organization, your business does goes through admin. Everything, all your knowledge, all your complaints, all your suggestions, everything goes into admin. It's really like your nervous system. If you have a broken nervous system, you won't be operating very well. And the same goes for a business. If your administration is broken or not functioning properly, you cannot get to that optimum level that you want to. And that's why I come in. That's why I look at things. I can help you streamline. I can help you revisit. I can tell you where your gaps are, where your issues are. I can help you fix that. I can help you with your staff training. Because unfortunately, there isn't a lot of training for your administrators, like your receptionists, your admin assistants, and so on. Yet they expected to know everything. But where does the knowledge come from if no one teaches it? So that's what Henning Consulting does in a nutshell.
That is fantastic. And so walk me through your process. Let's say I was to come to you. I have a business. I'm struggling with my admin. What are the things step by step that you would look at to help me get back on my feet?
Absolutely. Look, it really depends on your business and what you actually tell me is going on in your business. So everything I do is 100% client-centric. So that means everything I look at and I do with you is specific to you and your business, and it's not something I've done in the past with someone else. Yes, there are similarities and so on. As an example, I'm currently working with a cafe who do a really great job. It's a really great idea. It's quite unique. but they are struggling with all of their admin operation, things from, major preventative maintenance to processes to policies to, what scheduling tool to use. So we're basically working through all of those in order of priority of, okay, first of all, we need to get your scheduling right and your finance systems. We need to get them spot on because, as you know, Gertrude, if you don't have your finances in order, you're going to have a major issue. And then we'll work our way through that, through CRM, so your client relationship management systems and so on, through filing systems. But again, it is really dependent on what you as a client tell me, what you need to achieve, where it's hurting you. That's what we're working on.
And so if I was to say to you today, where do you see your business going in the next 5 to 10 years? Give us a bit of inspiration. Our listeners are mostly female entrepreneurs on a vision and a mission to expand, to grow. Where are you seeing yourself in the next 10 years?
Absolutely. Look, I have big plans for Henning Consulting. I can see it. I know it is happening. Ultimately, the long-term goal, potentially beyond the 10 years, is to go international, to really work across the globe and be the most sought after administrative consultancy agency around the world. But also in the shorter term, more than 5 to 10 years, is really to shift the business focus from saying, well, who cares about admin, to, hey, these are our superstars, we really need to look after them because they are the glue in the organization. So let's shine some spotlight on that. So I'm trying to really shift that focus in the next, 5 to 10 years to get the administrators the credit that they actually deserve.
Fantastic. Now, if I can teleport you now into the future in terms of your personal life and where you see yourself, say at the age of 80 or 90, if you were to go into the future and have a conversation with the future you, this amazing woman who is leading you to that point from right now, if you could have a conversation with her based on how you're living your life, what would you say to her?
Oh, that's a tough one. What would I say to myself when I'm 80? I would probably just say, this was a hell of a ride. Absolutely loved it. I'm not sure, Gertrude, sorry. I don't think that far ahead in terms of my personal life. I'm just enjoying the ride. I know I've got my life set up in a way that I love it. And I'm literally genuinely loving my life. I love getting up in the morning, doing my thing. I love my family dearly. I'm remarried. I've got my children. I've got my puppy dog. I love everything about it. So when I'm 80, I want to tell that person, hey, I'm loving the ride. That's all I want to be able to say.
The reason why I love to ask that question, Henny, is a lot of times as women, we don't realize that the wisdom is already in us, that our future self is already guiding us to where we want to go. Yeah. So I play a lot with the energy of the future me. Yeah. I tap into where she is and I ask her questions. I will say, what is my next step before I go to sleep? Then I wake up in the morning and I have all these knowings. I'm like, where did that come from? But it's already in us, right? We just forget that we have the power, we have the knowledge and the skills that we need to make things happen.
Absolutely. And I think I might not be that in touch with that side of me. It's more that gut feeling, I get up and I have this epiphany of like, Henning Consulting, so I make it happen, I'm just not that conscious of it like you are. I might need to learn that a little bit more, but and until then, I'll just enjoy the ride, right?
I love that. And that's it. It is about just enjoying the ride. And I do love your energy. I love the way you're just taking life one day at a time, one step at a time. And that's the only way to live, really. One day at a time, just doing the best you can.
Absolutely, absolutely. But don't forget about your overarching goal, because otherwise you wander aimlessly.
I love that. Yeah, what is that quote I read the other day, that if you set a ship in the sea without a destination, will it ever get there? So you have to be aiming for something, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Henny, it was an absolute pleasure having you on our show today. Thank you so much for coming online and sharing your story and your wisdom. How can people get hold of you, Henny?
My website is on the screen below, floating through. On there, there's contact forms. I'm on LinkedIn as well, also on Facebook and Instagram. If you look up Henny Q Consulting, you literally can't miss it. My phone number is everywhere as well. Same with my email address. So really quite simple to reach out through any of those platforms.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Henny. Absolutely awesome to connect with you. And thank you
so much for having me.
And thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. The Her Story Circle is connecting with some phenomenal women from all over the world. Tune in again tomorrow when I interview yet another amazing woman. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And bye for now. Thank you, Henny.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story.